Hello, this is Gray Hughes. Today I'm doing a missing persons video on Mollie Tibbetts. Now, I'm hoping I have her name spelled correctly because apparently a bunch of the different news outlets spelled her name wrong. They have a lot of information that's incorrect. They say that she went missing while jogging, and that apparently isn't true either. Last night I did a live video for a couple hours, and a bunch of us got on there and tried to work through the issues. You know, people like Valerie D, Audra Blankenship, Phoebe, Patricia, Anani14107. We all just kind of tried to work through it and try to figure things out, and sort of came up with, you know, some reasonable speculative thoughts by the end, okay? So what I'm going to do right now is sort of put all that together and try to explain it in a shorter video so that people can understand what we found and the possibilities that may exist in this case. All right, so let's get started on that right now. So let's start off with the basics. Mollie Cecilia Tibbetts went missing from Brooklyn, Iowa. The date she went missing is July 18, 2018. Her date of birth is May 8, 1998. She's 20 years old, female. Her height is 5'3", 120 pounds, or possibly 130. The news has put out some incorrect information on her statistics, as well as many of the flyers that have gone out have had incorrect information. We have 5'2", 120. She could be 5'3", 130. Basically, if you just take a look at her, she's pretty recognizable. Her build is athletic. Her eyes are brown, and she has long brown hair. She's Caucasian, has a tan complexion, and apparently the clothing she was last seen wearing is athletic clothing. Here is a really basic flow chart of the individuals that you see and read about in different articles. It may be more complex later as time goes by. However, I hope it doesn't get complex, because I'd like to see this solved immediately. Now, Laura Calderwood is the mother of Jake and Mollie Tibbetts. Jake and Mollie apparently share a car, and I think Jake actually lives with Laura Calderwood, the mother. And I don't know why her last name is different. Perhaps she's using her maiden name, or she got remarried at some point. Now, Mollie Tibbetts has a boyfriend named Dalton Jack. And Dalton Jack has a brother named Blake Jack, who has a fiancée named Allie Houghton. Okay, so that's some basic information on them. So now let's take a look at what apparently happened by reading news articles and different posts on Facebook. Here is the town of Brooklyn. There's about 1,400 people, could be around 1,500, but less than 1,500 people live in this small little town here. And in a moment, I will turn on all the pins so you can see all the locations that we've determined in that live video that we did last night. And when I say we, all of my friends that follow my channel, and we went over the case. Started off lost, and at the end felt like we kind of could narrow it down, but it's still very, very speculative, because we don't have the same facts that the police have. So apparently, Mollie was seen jogging around the 5:30 time frame. Now, whether or not that's accurate or not, I do not know, because I wasn't the one who saw. All it is a comment on a Facebook page. It says, "My boyfriend saw her running last night on Pershing, headed to the east. He believes she was wearing a pink sports bra. He saw her right in front of Craig Smith's house." I actually found Craig Smith's house. My husband and I saw her running right past the funeral home a little after 5:30 as well, headed east. All right? Now, Craig Smith's house is right there on Pershing, and the funeral home is right there. So she was running in this direction at that time at 5:30. But I'm not sure how relevant the jog is, other than it's possible that while she was jogging, somebody saw her and then maybe followed her home or watched her go home. I mean, it is a really small town. Now, in the live video that we did last night, we came up with the likelihood that Mollie, Dalton, Blake, and Blake's fiance all lived right here. So let's do a street view here. And you see this house right there. This house is also the business address location. And here is an image on Allie's Facebook page that shows them right after they purchased the house, and this is in April. So this is just a few months ago, and I think they probably lived there, but it was also the address of the business. And they also had a couple dogs, or have a couple dogs, and here are the dogs right now. Thing is, Mollie was going to be taking care of the dogs while Blake, Allie, and Dalton were all out of town. So she was at the home by herself, dog sitting. And so she was in this house right there, dog sitting. And apparently at around 5:30, she went jogging. And this is the Craig Smith house, and this is the funeral home, and she went jogging this direction. However, apparently there was a conversation between Mollie and her mother, who lives right over here in this town. So if we're looking at the town, she was dog sitting right there, and her mother lives right there. They conversed about what they were having for dinner, and her mother said they're having brats, and she expected Mollie to come over. But Mollie never came over. Now, I don't have the information whether or not the mother tried to call her saying, "Hey, where are you? Aren't you coming over for dinner?" I don't have that information. I do know that Dalton, her boyfriend, received a Snapchat image from Mollie at around 10 o'clock at night. Now, whether or not that was sent earlier and he just opened it at that time, I don't know. I also don't know if they conversed back and forth at that time. It doesn't sound like it based on what I've been reading. Because if they had, we'd have a definite time frame that she was still at home. Okay, now at 7:30, you would think she would be home as well, because that's 2 hours after people saw her jogging. It's not like she went on a marathon, right? She went jogging, and at 7:30 talked to her mother, and they were going to have brats. She didn't show up, and I don't know if her mother actually tried to figure out, like, "Hey, where are you?" We don't know that information. She didn't make it to work. What we do know is that the next morning she didn't make it to work. Her brother Jake texted her at 7:30 in the morning and wanted to know if she needed a ride home. Apparently they shared the car, so maybe he thought maybe she needed a ride home to change clothes or something and then take the car into work. I don't know the dynamics of why that text was made, but it was made. She never responded to that, and this was the following day. So later somebody called and said that she didn't show up to work, and then that started in some panic modes. Dalton actually texted her in the morning, that same morning, didn't get responses, and then started contacting friends, wondering if they'd heard from her. I find that a little bit strange. I mean, why would you be that nervous that quickly? Once I heard she didn't make it to work, then I would start getting nervous. Now, one other piece of information that's interesting is that Mollie, she works at a daycare, and the daycare is about 15 miles away in another town called Grinnell, or Grinnell. I don't know the inflection on it. But this town here, she worked at Grinnell Regional Medical Center in a daycare center. Now, they were all supposed to go to a fair and everybody that went was going to wear red. And she had a red shirt specifically picked out to wear for that, and her mother says that is missing. Now also, the only things apparently that Mollie had with her were her cell phone and Fitbit. So there's where the speculation that she went missing jogging came from. However, she could have just got done jogging and kept wearing the same clothes, maybe was going to go over and have dinner, and then something happened to her just after that, and perhaps the Snapchat is actually an alibi message. We don't know. However, it's possible she went missing between 7:30 and 10, because why didn't she call her mother and say, hey, I'm not coming over for dinner now? All right, that's a little strange to me. She also left inside the house her glasses and her contact lenses. And apparently she never goes anywhere without those things. As I mentioned before, she had that red shirt that she had picked out for the fair. And apparently nobody can find that shirt. So if she already had it on, let's say she went to bed with it on, and then something happened in the middle of the night and they took her, that might explain why she didn't have her glasses on or her contacts on. But let's say then she got ready for work, had them on, and got abducted as she was heading out to work. But then why didn't she answer the phone call at 7:30? And how could she be heading to work if she didn't have a car to go to work with if her brother had the car? You see, there's a lot of craziness in this case. At first it didn't seem like there was, but now it's getting difficult to actually put the information together because there's things that contradict itself. So that's the basic information on the case. Now we might be able to try to speculate on some things. So here's one of the other posters out there. Now the thing is, let's try to work through this. She was jogging at around 5:30 apparently. Then she calls her mother around 7:30 and they discuss dinner, but she never ends up going to dinner. We don't know if her mother tried to get a hold of her, but we do know that she didn't call her mother to say, hey, I'm not coming over now. So now there's information that the red shirt is missing that she was going to wear. Perhaps went to bed wearing the red shirt so she didn't have to remember to wear the red shirt, and she'd be ready to go to work in the morning to go to the fair. But then the contacts come into play. The contacts and the glasses. So why didn't she have her glasses and contacts with her? Because if she had gotten up to get ready for work and had the red shirt on, at some point she would have put her glasses and contacts on, right? And then she would have gone to work, and then maybe she was abducted, but the glasses and contacts wouldn't be there. So that part is very disturbing, that her contacts and glasses are still at the house. The only things missing are her phone and Fitbit. But if that's all that's missing, why would she have the red shirt on? Let's say she still had all that athletic gear on from running. Did she just go to sleep and then put the red shirt on? Something doesn't make sense. We also don't know. We might be putting too much weight on the red t-shirt. We don't have any idea if it really is missing or if it's even part of the case at this point. But that's something that, if is true, it kind of throws a wrench into other information. Did she go to sleep with it on, or did she get up in the morning and get ready for work? And then if so, why didn't she have her contacts and her glasses on? And apparently they've done a search here, so let's find that house again. She was staying right here, we're guessing. It seems really logical. And that they've searched all around in this area, these cornfields over here. There was a news shot of right over here. And they looked in all this area because I think some of them are thinking she was heading over to her mother's house and got abducted. And if that's true, then why is her red shirt missing? Was her shirt with her while she was walking? And if so, why would it be? Because here, unless she was going to take the red shirt home, put it inside the house, knowing that her brother was going to pick her up in the morning and drive her home, and then she'd get ready to go. But she never made it home, so therefore her red shirt would be missing too. But then we go back to, why wouldn't she then have her contacts and glasses with her if she was going to go get ready at her parents' house? Did she just forget them? We don't know the answer to that. But this case is pretty confusing. I'm going to keep looking into it and adding pieces of the puzzle as they come out. But it seems like they're pretty tight-lipped about it, so I'm not sure we're going to get any more information. The FBI is now involved, and they usually button down all that kind of information. So this is my first video on Mollie Tibbetts. I am hoping that this case gets resolved soon. If not, I'll keep adding in the pieces as they come. If they don't come in, if there are no other pieces that they're going to share, then I won't be able to make any other videos. They would just be more speculative videos. I think it's possible, like if you bring out the scenario, if you say, okay, maybe she ran off with somebody else, well then why did she leave her contacts and glasses at home? That's a big deal to me. And it's also a big deal that she didn't show up to her mother's house for dinner. Those two things are, I think, the biggest piece of information that we have right now, is that her contacts and glasses were left at home. She didn't show up to her mother's house for dinner, which kind of tells me that something happened earlier, and that perhaps that Snapchat image was sent either as an alibi or it was sent earlier and he just opened it up. Dalton just opened it up later. Okay, so I can't really justify her leaving on her own at this point, especially, again, I've said contacts and glasses a million times, but you wouldn't leave those at home if you were taking off with somebody else. And you would only just leave with your cell phone and Fitbit, none of your ID or anything. See, that doesn't make any sense. I think we have an abduction scenario going on here. All right, so I'll keep you guys updated, and until next time, everybody, be safe out there.